Just to get back to you, Randy, how long are people playing Monster Kingdom for on average? What's the sort of play style that you see, and who are your players? Do you have a feel for what your demographic is?
So to go in reverse order, we have very little feel on the actual demographic information. We collect very little about them, and we rely a lot on our provider Flurry, who does a lot of our metrics for us, to kind of grab that data. So we have vague notions of it, but it's not very fine-grained, clear-cut data. In terms of play sessions, we typically see people most frequently doing about 2.5 to 3.5 minutes apiece, several sessions throughout the day, so very similar.
And your game has a time management aspect, right? So there's a reason to come back at certain times.
Right. So we'll see most people will kind of be primarily focused on the time management aspect of it, of maximize the amounts of resources that I have right now before they come back. But we also see some other players who get really into the social loops of the game. Right. And then you see them hanging around for a half hour or more, sitting there just basically talking to people, writing on forums, writing on other people's walls and what have you, which to us is just peachy keen too. Just as long as they stay connected to the game, that becomes a gravitational force to bring them back into the game. When they think they're going to quit, all their friends pull them back in. So it works out great for us.
So something all three of you have mentioned is the social aspect, whether it's a competitive social aspect, Grant, of people occupying space on the word squared board, or both of you mentioned that. That's not something you really see in traditional games. I mean, you know, on your Apple II, there wasn't anyone else, right? My brother would look over my shoulder maybe while I played, my little brother. And you know, okay, on consoles there was more of that, but it's more really strictly competitive and almost like strangers. I'm just, you know, some guy I'm shooting. How heavily does that weigh into your games? I imagine it's going to be pretty heavy, but that really, I think, is one of the defining characteristics of these new platforms. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I would say that by default, I think everything should be starting from how can we make this social, because it is the #1 hook to acquire new users, to retain the users you have, and even to convince other users to spend